Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Reecee News. And there's some really interesting news that has been breaking recently for Nintendo, some really unexpected news, I'd probably say, because the first one here is about a rumor that a 1-2 Switch sequel was in development. So this came from Fanbyte, and I'm not really sure exactly where the source is originally from. It just came from Fanbyte. Maybe it was like some insider information, I don't know exactly. But this sounds so crazy, it might actually be real, knowing that Nintendo has been known to do some really crazy things like this in the past. So basically, they were developing a 1-2 Switch sequel, and as a lot of people know, it's not really the best received Nintendo launch title. It's kind of functioning like Wii Sports and Nintendo Land, kind of. But unlike those games, it didn't really sell well, and it wasn't really packaged with the systems. And ironically, despite the Switch being one of Nintendo's best-selling consoles, the 1-2 Switch wasn't really that successful for being like kind of advertised as one of those titles for the Switch. Like when it was launching, it was kind of marketed as one of those pack-in titles, even though it wasn't. It was a really weird situation. But it wasn't really received well, definitely not worth the price. It's $50. I'm not sure how much it is now, but I think it was $50 when it launched, and it was really underwhelming. It's kind of weird. It's just kind of a weird thing nowadays. It's not even that bad looking back. It's just a really weird occurrence looking at 1-2 Switch, because Nintendo really didn't know what they were doing with that game. It's more of a tech demo than anything, but they were basically making a sequel to this that was originally set to launch this year, and it basically was kind of like a Jackbox Party Pack style game, or kind of like a game show also, and they had different mini games where a bunch of people could join, like more than just 2 or 3, like I think of like up to 100, and when people were playtesting it, it ended up, like, with the target audience and everything, it ended up, like, being a complete mess. Like, it didn't work out, like, it kind of turned out horribly. Like, it tested horribly, like, they didn't really get the game, and they didn't really get how it worked and everything, and it didn't really work very well. So, I think this game even finished development and was even like starting to be localized and actually got printed copies. I'm not sure about that part, but it's just really weird. I mean, even though this sounds really bizarre, it really seems like something Nintendo would do, like especially with Nintendo Switch Sports that released recently. It's a very underwhelming product and kind of shows that Nintendo has very different standards than they used to. So, Nintendo might have intentionally held off on this game. I really hope they do, because one thing that's really interesting about this rumored game is that, like, the concept in general doesn't even sound that bad. Like, having, like, a game show kind of format like Jackbox Party Pack, that actually sounds kind of fun. And if they actually put more development time into it, it actually would have been an interesting product. It actually would have been really like a fun party game. Like, and much better than the original 1-2 Switch. So, maybe they're still working on that? I don't know. A really weird thing. Maybe Nintendo will just drop it, even though it got poor reception in playtesting. I don't know. But we'll have to see with that. That's really weird. But it was called Everybody's 1-2 Switch. So that was a really weird thing, and it honestly seems too weird to be fake, honestly. Like, with Nintendo's, like, that seems very out of nowhere, and with Nintendo's recent things, like with Nintendo Switch Sports and Nintendo Switch Online, they're really, the way they've been handling things lately, this really doesn't seem out of the ordinary, but this concept in general doesn't sound bad. It was probably just executed bad. It probably was just poorly executed and everything. So that is a really interesting story, but next up, kind of a little normal thing here. So the Nintendo Switch Online got new icons with My Nintendo and everything. So some June birthdays for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and then really cool ones for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, always nice. Definitely one of the best games on the Switch. So, like, I'm glad that that got more icons. I know they already had Breath of the Wild icons, but this will include more and have more characters and everything. So it's always nice to have those. I really hope they do. I think they're going to do Mario Strikers also. I'm not for certain. I think I saw somewhere that they were doing Mario Strikers, but I am for sure that they are doing the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild ones, since they posted that on Twitter yesterday along with the Animal Crossing New Horizons ones. So that's usually what they do each month, so just you can go ahead and redeem those if you have My Nintendo. So the final bit of news here is about Apple with iOS 16. So recently, it's been confirmed that it will support the Nintendo Switch Pro controllers and Joy-Cons natively, which is really interesting, because they do support like other controllers and everything, and now you can experience drift on your iPhone. But yeah, it's good that they're supporting that now. A little unrelated, but still on the topic of iOS 16, it is a little disappointing that they are dropping support on both iPhone 6s and iPhone 7, because it's kind of linked to this and everything, so I just wanted to bring that up. But it's really interesting that they're doing that now. Kind of surprised that they didn't bring support to iOS earlier, because I mean, the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons and Pro Controller are fully supported on like PC and everything. So kind of surprising that it took this long for them to work on like iOS, because they were already working on Android for a while now. I think ever since the Switch launched. So it's really weird that they're not supporting that until now. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.